Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of your Human Design Coach podcast. I'm Ashley Watkins, and we are here to look at all things human design, specifically through application. What does it look like in action? How can it benefit you as you work towards your goals in life? Our quote for today: "You rendezvousing with the things along your path is what life is. It's not a march towards a destination." I used to have this friend in middle school and high school, and she would always say rendezvous, and I can't see it any other way, but I said it right. Last week, we were prepping for Valentine's Day. I'm actually recording this on Valentine's Day. And there were a couple questions that came to me sort of along the lines of, what does my definition say about who I should be in relationships? I thought was a really fair question. So excited to see those things come in and some thoughts coming up. One of the things that I say about human design, that what I really like about it, is that there's nothing prescriptive or predictive about it. Meaning it's not that your type is projector, so you will live your life like this, or your type is generator, so you may only be in relationships with these people. There's really none of that, at least not in the teachers that I've looked at. And I think if it were that, it would not sit well with me. So I thought it might be worth doing another look at kind of human design and love, human design and relationships. And for this episode, I want to look at two charts of a couple that I know. And one of the things that is really fun to do in my teaching and coaching services is to look at pairs. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, one-on-one teaching, examining individuals' chart. But I feel like if you're anything like me, when you learn your chart, you want to learn others, right? What am I partner, my friends, my family, my kids. So something that I offer is, let's just get them both in there and let's look at the charts side by side. We all have the whole chart. So we know that when we are around other people, the things that we may have open, so maybe I have an open head and certain channels and gates that are white on my chart. But when I get with my good friend or my partner or a colleague that I work really well with, their energy, we know this intuitively. Others' energy, this energy of spaces influences us. But I really enjoy looking at this through the lens of a design. And in relationships, especially how things can be enhanced, you can bring out things in each other that maybe you don't have defined in your chart. And really, like when we think of like a powerhouse couple, I think looking at that through this lens of human design is really interesting. So I want to look at two charts of a couple that I know today, kind of side by side, and highlight just a few things that I notice, and just to get you thinking how this might be for you. Again, with your partner, with a good friend, with people you work with, and thinking about ways you can enhance each other. Okay, so we're going to look at these two charts. We have a 6-2 emotional manifesting generator and a 5-1 emotional manifestor. Hello, manifestors. We have not talked about manifestors yet. So manifestors are a rarer type, about 10% of the population, and super interesting type, really about first of their kind, bursts of energy to really make things come alive. A lot of power, a lot of really strong energy here. So I thought this would be a fun one to highlight of these two types. And when we look at manifesting generators and manifestors, the similarities too, I think are interesting to know if you're in some kind of relationship where you have these two types. Just a reminder, type, it's about our energy, how we best use our energy, how we may receive energy, how we can protect our energy. All those things are kind of in type. Our manifesting generators are our ones that are going to get stuff done. They move quickly. They may be able to skip steps. Their energy feels like a warm hug. And then our manifestors, again, are our first of their kind, creative bursts, really gifted at kind of getting things started. They have the thing with their type that no other type has, which is, well, all the other types are meant to sort of wait to either respond to opportunities or be invited. A manifestor is the type that can say, I have an idea and I'm going to act on it, based on what their authority says. Both manifesting generators and manifestors, I think, are powerhouses. Now, when I think about these two together, the thing about the manifestor is we mentioned the creative bursts. So it may look like a day, a week, a month where they're really doing a lot. But the energy here is different in that then once those bursts have happened and kind of the things have gotten started, there may be more of a need for rest, for time on their own. In that way kind of makes us think more of projectors who we think more of kind of needing that rest. And whereas projectors is sort of day to day a lot of the time, manifestors again, maybe I'm going and it's a month and I'm going and going. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I got to stop. Question here for these two might be, how are you honoring each other's energy? So if the manifesting generator is, let's just say it's the weekend, it's been a long week, but both of them are working in places that feel pretty good. They feel that their energy is honored. They feel energized by what they're doing. But when it comes to the weekend, the manifesting generator may say, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's plan a date. Let's go to the zoo. Do all the things. Let's make a craft. I have this home project that we need to get done. And they're going. But remember, manifesting generators, one of the ways that you can kind of be aware of some potential challenges in your life is if you're expecting everyone to keep up. And so the manifestor doesn't mean they can't, but if you're feeling maybe if there's some resistance or discomfort there, that they're sort of like dragging, it may be that they need to honor their need for rest. So how are you honoring each other's energy? All right. So moving into authority. So authority, again, is where we make decisions from, those aligned opportunities and how we decide if it's a yes or a no. So both of these individuals have an emotional authority, which is the sleep on it, the wait for clarity. I have the initial kind of feeling of something, but I'm going to sleep on it and make sure I'm making a decision from a place of calm rather than a heightened emotional state. So the fact that both of these have the same, I think, is very supportive. So when it comes to the big decisions of we're looking to buy a house and we went and saw 3 today and we were really excited by 1 and 2, knowing that you can give each other space to sleep on it and then check in the next day. And having that kind of framework of understanding what calm clarity looks like for each of you and being able to say, how does it feel? Does it feel like that calm clarity? And then I think also being aware of the tendency here to maybe talk oneself out of something or into something when there isn't when you've reached the calm clarity, but then still wanting to think is something to say, okay, remember we kind of said this, so we can rest in that. I feel like that is very supportive here. It doesn't mean if one had the sacral authority or something else and the other had the emotional that it's not doable. But the fact that both are the same feels like that would bring some ease. Like my husband and I both have a sacral or trust your gut authority. So we both kind of have that ability to know in the moment. And it's sort of helpful of not having to explain. Well, I just know, he understands that because he feels it as well. All right. So I'm going to pop up both charts here and you're going to see the centers. So the manifesting generator here has the open head, the open mind, and the open will centers. And then the manifestor has the open spleen and the open sacral. So all those shapes that are white. So when we put them together, all centers are defined. What I want to frame this as and think about is if we have the manifesting generator who has the open head, which sometimes can leave you feeling a little scattered, the open mind, which can be uncertain, the open will, which can maybe have you questioning your value and needing to prove your value. What do you gain thinking about these things when you are with your partner? Is it easier to focus? Do you find it easier to be certain about things that are important? Do you feel a calming of, I don't have to question my value with this person? And then for the manifestor, having the open spleen and then the open sacral. So the open spleen sometimes being a fear, there's some fear there. The sacral being that kind of access to the gut. So when this manifestor is around their manifesting generator partner who has those centers defined, do you find that the fears kind of quiet? And do you feel that you may have more access to some initial certainty, still honoring the sleep on it, but the gut maybe is pinging? And so those are just things to think about in the ways that if we say human design sometimes gives us language for things we know, are those strengths that you feel that you have together? The flip side of this is knowing that, so again, for the manifesting generator, the open mind, sometimes it's uncertain, recognizing that you may feel a certainty when you're with your partner that may not be there when you leave them, depending on, whose energy you're around. And so recognizing that, I think, can help of like, well, we slept on it. We were certain together. I kind of have that supportive energy from them. So just because when I leave their presence and I don't feel that as much, it doesn't mean it's gone away. It just may be a shift in energy that I need to be aware of that happens when I go to work or some of these other spaces. Okay, last place I want to highlight, channels. We haven't talked really about channels, I don't think. So channels are going to be whenever we have the shapes. You see the little numbers all around the shapes. When we have each number, there's a line that comes, and when those lines meet. So you're going to see, I'm going to pop up those charts and you'll see some channels circled here. So together, the ones that these individuals have together, I think is really interesting. Together, they have the ambition channel, 3254. So you'll see that circled there. So with the right support, those with this channel, with the right support can make anything happen. An ability to sense others' gifts, help them reach their full potential, to know what dreams are worth pursuing. And also there can be some fear of failure associated with this channel. So being able to kind of convert that fear of failure into understanding you have an instinct for what's going to be successful and what won't. So what a cool thing to have together, right? And to say with the right support. So we've already looked at some places where this couple really like has the energy here is very consistent and very, very good. Being able to convert that into kind of this thing of we get together, we're unstoppable. I love to say that to my husband. Watkins, together we can do anything. But we do have some cool channels together. But in this case, like I would be like, yeah, hey, you two, make it happen. Okay. The question here might be, do you allow the support in? Are you saying, well, I just should be able to make it happen? Or do you recognize the way you support each other? I feel that the answer may be yes. All right. The next one is going to be the 1-8. So the 1-8 is the creativity channel. That's going to be between the identity and the throat. So these two individuals have this channel when they come together. This can look like unlocking the creative potential in each other. So again, this may be bursts. So it's not necessarily that you're going to have it all the time, but together there may be these bursts of creativity that feel very fulfilling. So I would be curious of, how that resonates with you. What does that look like together? How can you kind of celebrate and cultivate more of that? Okay, last two channels we want to highlight. Both of these are going to be between the root and the emotion center. So root and emotions. So the 3955, which is the depth channel, and the 4130, which is the imagination. So the 3955, I think, is good to know because when you talk about these two people have the emotional authority, so looking for that calm clarity, recognizing this channel of being about emotions and recognizing that you're going to have highs and lows together, like you have this channel together. And so honoring those. So when we come back to creativity, making decisions, when it's feeling low and you kind of feel that, whether it's one of you or both of you, honoring that and just allowing yourself to do things when you're in the mood. And so how can you sort of cultivate that in each other and recognize that and give space for that? And then the 4130, the imagination, is another really fun one. It's about, again, you have this together, here to dream, imagine what can be. And you don't have to have the pressure to pursue all these dreams. So again, I think of like when you're in the, kind of sleepy Saturday morning and it's just like, wow, should we go to on this trip to Spain? Should we buy a boat? Should we, the things that come up, knowing that that is part of the fun and not giving yourself the pressure of, oh, if I say it, I have to do it. So the freedom to dream together, I'm getting goosebumps. I could like almost get a little emotional too, but that's so beautiful. And to know that you have that together is really what a gift. Okay. So to wrap up, we talked today about this lovely couple, our 6-2 emotional manifesting generator and our 5-1 emotional manifestor, and how their energy centers and channels, when they're together, we highlighted some of the things for them to be aware that they can bring out in each other. As always, we take what resonates and leave the rest, but recognizing that human design, again, is never prescriptive or predictive. Is that prescriptive to say it never is? Oh boy. No, I think we're okay. I'm going to stick with it. Let me know. Okay. So thank you all so much for being here. If you, as always, are interested in having me take a look at your chart, again, maybe you have a specific question. Maybe you'd like to do something like we did today. Would you like to send in your and your partner's or your best friend or your work colleague if you can get them to tell you your birth time? And we'll take a little look-see at, what may be the strengths and what could be things to look out for, some of those areas of growth that we might want to highlight. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time.